Hello Experimental, my name is Maddie Hinkins, and today I'm going to be presenting on the adverse effects of pornography on healthy relationships. So my hypothesis for this study was that college students are the population experiencing progressively more trouble maintaining romantic relationships. This study attempts to see if college students who have watched pornography for a year and up have had more failed relationships than those who have not watched or do not watch pornography on a regular basis. And by regular basis, I specifically mean more than once a month. And by failed relationships, I specifically mean relationships that are either currently not ongoing or that did not end amicably. My relevant justification for this project was that pornography consumption has been linked to several negative effects. In a study conducted by Hilton and Watts, they showed that sexual addictions present themselves as biologically similar to other addictions and disordered behaviors. They used diffusion MRI to prove this. In a study done by Perry, this showed that pornography consumption is consistently associated with lower marital quality. Boyle showed that the pornography industry grooms women and children for sexual abuse and sexual assault later down the line. In a study conducted by Lowe and Wade, adolescents exposed to pornography show a greater likelihood of engaging in sexually permissive behavior at an earlier age. Kuhn and Galanat's study proved the existence of changes in neuroplasticity and negative outcomes due to pornography consumption. Those negative outcomes were namely a decrease in sexual satisfaction in real-world relationships and compulsive computer usage. Finally, in Lim and Hellard's experiment, they showed that gender-based violence towards women is closely associated with pornography consumption. So for my methodology, I asked 100 students between the ages of 18 and 24 to participate in this study. There were 50 students from HBU, Houston Baptist University, and 50 students from U of H, the University of Houston, who were involved in this study. The design was a randomized control trial, and it was in survey and questionnaire format. My procedure for this was that first I needed the names of the students from both HBU and U of H. So after those were acquired and their email addresses were also acquired, their names were put in a randomly selecting computer program, and after 50 names were chosen from HBU and 50 from U of H, they were emailed to ask permission to participate in this study, and after their permission was acquired, they were asked to complete the survey, and they did. There were measures taken on this study. The first was that their answers were qualitative and not quantitative. That's to be expected in questionnaire and survey format often. Some things were also taken into account that could sway their answers one way or another, such as religion, education level, emotional awareness, and pre-existing proclivities toward mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. And the total survey took about 5 to 10 minutes on average. The results of my study showed that pornography does in fact possess harmful effects on healthy relationships on the brain and the brain. We saw that earlier on in the negative effects mentioned in all those studies. Addictive qualities as seen in substance abuse are also closely related to sexual abuse and pornography consumption. Pornography consumption leads to feelings of negativity, and people who view pornography on a regular basis are in fact more likely to have failed relationships than those who do not, as seen in the survey and also in other studies conducted. There were some, as with any experimental study, there were some limitations. The first was difficulty in defining failed relationships, as that is a subjective matter, and the same reason for addiction, as that is also a subjective matter. And sexuality is seen by many psychologists as a necessary and biological need to be fulfilled. So some psychologists may say that pornography is beneficial and some may not. This study will hopefully lead towards a healthy awareness of the harmful effects of pornography on relationships in the brain, that people viewing pornography, um, that people will view pornography as any other addiction, and will not be ostracized for what they struggle with, and that it will promote open and honest conversations about the nature of sexual addiction and pornography consumption in general, particularly among adolescents and college age students.